question is, are you ready?
What do you guys want to talk about?
Let me talk to him.
Wow. Throwdown Nation, what is going on? It is it's not a Monday night, it is a Tuesday night. And we are rolling on Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, and Twitch. It is episode 244 of The Throwdown, the community on the interwebs where we celebrate the art and sport of professional wrestling with a strong focus on the indies. I'm your host, Matt, and today we are throwing down with a wrestler based out of the great state of Maryland, a guy who is working a gimmick straight out of the carnival days from which pro wrestling arose. Welcome with me, Maryland's Mightiest Mustache, George LaFleur. How are you doing?
Doing well, thank you. Thank you for having me. This is very exciting. I've been looking forward to this for quite a while.
Well, like I said before we went on the air, man, the Lemon Guy spoke highly of you, and that's a good enough endorsement for me. And for those of you watching live, let me direct your attention to the ticker that's running on the bottom of the screen. That contains all or at least most of George's social media accounts along with mine. So if you aren't following or subscribed, take the time and go to each of the platforms and do so. It definitely helps both of us. And any questions or comments, just throw them in the chat. We'll either handle them as we go or do a little Q&A at the end.
Works for me.
So we'll start with really the first and the most obvious question, and that is, how long have you been wrestling?
I've been wrestling for roughly about 3 years.
Gotcha. Who trained you or is training you? Because training is an open-ended, never-ending saga.
I concur, and I feel like when you stop training, you should be done wrestling. That's my own personal take on it, but
that's called stagnation.
There you go. I agree.
Yep.
And I feel like I am proof positive you are never too old to learn how to do this, because I started at 37 and I'll be 40, I'll be 41 this year. So
nice.
Yeah. But yeah, so I started with a school down in Rockville. We were in Gaithersburg initially, called Renaissance Rumble, which is where Lemon Guy trains at.
Yeah.
I started there when they first were doing like open training. They did a one day, like day one seminar kind of thing. Signed up for that, got into it, loved it, and wanted to go forward with it, and trained with Hamish Stewart, Common MK, and I think at the time Eel O'Neill was not necessarily training with them. He was kind of like on and off. But Eel is one of my consistent trainers now. When Ren Rumble closed because the mall that we were in Gaithersburg was shut down and was being torn down, I was basically without a training school for a while. So then I moved over to EWA, which is now their training school portion is now Catchpoint Baltimore. But the trainers we had there were Old Man Young Boy, Eel O'Neill, and Common MK was also training there. And now it is Old Man Young Boy, Eel O'Neill, Travis Huckabee, and Brittany Blake. And we've had a couple other like guest trainers here and there, but those are the consistent ones. So I've been trained by a fair amount of people.
Well, you have had a nice variation in your learning tree.
I agree.
And all that does is make you better.
Yes, I completely agree.
So, and it seems like you sort of took a page out of Diamond Dallas Page's book and kind of came into things a little later than most. How did that come about? How did you decide at age 37 that you wanted to give this a whirl?
So, I got sent the like day one trial thing from a friend of mine who is a common friend of a mutual friend of Hamish. And he sent it to me. He sent me the advertisement for it. And I told my wife, like, hey, this is really cool. She knew I was a wrestling fan, but didn't really know that I ever wanted to do it. And I had wanted to do it for a while, but I was like, yeah, I don't really know. I'm not really sure where to go. I was thinking about it. And then also I had a coworker of mine who he trained with MCW and was eventually signed to Ring of Honor. He's now, I think, on the independents down in Atlanta. I think he was recently on the Nightmare Factory's student showcase kind of thing. Moses. I used to work with him for my shoot job. But he was a big influence on me and wanting to actually do it, since I actually had somebody I could talk to that has been trained, does all this stuff, et cetera, et cetera. But getting back to going with Renaissance Rumble, like I said, a mutual friend of mine sent me their like day one training kind of thing. And I told my wife, like, hey, this is really cool. I'm interested in this. And she's like, yeah, go for it. Like, you know, see what it's like. If you like it, we'll figure out how to do it. And she's been very supportive the entire time. And I cannot give her enough praise for being as supportive and as loving and caring as a partner could be for this, even though she thinks wrestling is the dumbest thing on the planet. She thinks but she knows I love it. She knows I really enjoy it, and it's a blast for me to do. And you know, that's kind of how I got started with it.
Well, you know, having a support system like that in any creative outlet is so important. And you know, speaking from the perspective of a guy that's been married almost 28 years, when you're with the right person, there's nothing like it. 100%. And it sounds like you've got a good one. So you know,
we're coming up on 10 years next year. So yeah, I'd say I've got the right one.
Oh, for sure. So in the early stages of your training, what would you say was the most challenging aspect of professional wrestling for you to kind of wrap your mind and body around?
You cut out there just a little bit. I'm sorry. Can you repeat that?
Oh, sure. In the early stages of your training, what would you say was the most challenging aspect of professional wrestling for you to kind of wrap your mind and body around?
The character, honestly. It's still evolving. It's taken me probably about a good year and a half, 2 years to kind of get a really good feel for what I'm doing. And I only now really feel like I know the character more. And a lot of that has to do with just fleshing out the mannerisms, fleshing out the in-ring acumen, figuring out what I can do physically in the ring, figuring out what I can't do physically in the ring, especially since I'm older.
Right.
But I don't feel like that limits me as much as I thought initially. I thought, oh yeah, I'm going to be, you know, I'm going to take a couple bumps and then I'm going to be done, or I'm only going to be able to do, you know, a couple of grapple, you know, wrist locks and a couple grapple moves like that. I wouldn't be doing flying elbow off the top rope. I wouldn't be doing suplexes. I wouldn't be doing any of that stuff. And I don't have a problem with it. I actually feel very comfortable going off the top rope. And which is wild because I feel like that should not be done by somebody who is 40, almost 41 years old and has only been trained in wrestling for like 3 years. So, but
right.
You have good trainers. You have the confidence to do it, and you just shut up and do it.
Yeah, that and having a good dance partner that you feel confident is going to focus on safety and everything else as well. So.
Yep. And I've been very lucky so far. Knock on wood. I've had some very, very good partners. So I'm hoping that continues.
So, did you come to wrestling with a previous athletic or other type of martial arts background? Had you done other sports previously?
I did. So I did Pee Wee baseball, Pee Wee football. I played freshman football in high school, and that was about it. That's really all I had done as far as any kind of sport. I didn't do any I didn't do any martial arts. That wasn't really anything that was interesting to me. It was always baseball and football were like the two big ones that I had done.
Gotcha. So I'm presuming that you've been at least a fan of professional wrestling the majority of your life. Is that pretty accurate?
Oh yes, 100%. Pretty much ever since I could remember watching it. Probably around 9-10 years old is probably when I really started getting into it. And I want to say I think I went to my first like house show back when I was maybe 12 or 11 or 12, something like that. WCW I think was what it was. It came to the Baltimore Arena years ago.
Gotcha. Well, what would you say is your earliest wrestling related memory? Uh-oh. Looks like you froze up on me. Well, hopefully he'll be back shortly. So in the meantime, let's just hope for the best. Anybody in the chat have anything to say while we're waiting? Well, what I'll do is while we're waiting, I can go ahead and let you guys know what is coming up on the Throwdown. This Friday, July 3rd, 7 p.m. Eastern, we've got episode 245, and our guest is a wrestler based in New York, Alec Hammer. And this coming Monday, July 6th, 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific, episode 246. And our guest is a wrestler based in Northern California, D-Rogue. And we're still waiting on George. Hopefully he'll be returning. It looks like his phone overheated. I'm waiting to see if he's going to be able to reconnect. We may end up just having to reschedule for another time, it's a shame. We were having a good conversation, but hey, stuff happens, and you roll with the punches, and you get what needs to get done. So anyway, hopefully he'll be back in a second, but who knows? We're still kind of communicating by text right now. Anyway, anybody in the chat have any questions, thoughts, comments? No? Okay. Looks like he is back, maybe. Hey.
Okay. Sorry about that. My phone overheated.
Not a problem, man. I'm just glad you're back.
this is what I get for trying to run it in my car, because that was the only spot we could actually have good connection. So hopefully it's a little bit better down here.
Oh yeah, but it's sounding sounding really good actually.
Okay. All right, cool.
So anyway, we were talking about your earliest wrestling related memory.
I know I remember watching WWF, as well as like early 92, 93 WCW on TV as a kid. And then I remember going to a WCW show. I think it was just a house show. It wasn't like a taping or a pay-per-view in the Baltimore Arena when I was, I don't know, maybe like 10, 11, something like that, with a friend of mine from middle school. And then I got hooked from watching it. I just thought it was the coolest thing ever. And probably WWF was kind of the thing that more routinely. A lot of early Bret Hart, a lot of early 90s Hogan, some stuff like that.
Got you. So, obviously the physical side of this is all extremely important, but it's interesting because you and I are both getting older, and so because of that, the gym routine has to change somewhat to suit your body and everything else as you're getting older. So in your mind currently, what are the most crucial exercise or group of exercises for you to keep in ring shape with?
Cardio is probably one of the bigger ones that I've been trying to improve on. And just for overall health, I think cardio is going to be key for more just long-term body health. I'm trying to do a little bit more flexibility, some yoga, a lot more stretching. That's just been better for me as far as just overall movement, especially since for my day job, I sit in a chair all day long. So being able to just get up and move and just be flexible, that's been helpful. And then just basic body lifting, or body workouts. A lot of bicep, tricep stuff is what I kind of focus on. That's been kind of my go-to. My gym routine has been really weird late. I feel like I just have not been able to get in as much as I want, and it's kind of plateaued. I don't know. Maybe I need a gym or like a workout, like a fitness trainer, somebody to kind of give me a better guide of what I need to do exactly. A lot of the routine that I've gotten right now is stuff that I've gotten through my trainers, but also stuff that I remember from when I was in my 20s and early 30s, going to the gym with a couple coworkers, stuff like that. It's not great. So I definitely need something that's a bit more polished.
Gotcha. So, away from wrestling, what are some of your hobbies and interests? What do you like to do with whatever spare time you might have, which probably isn't much?
It's not. A lot of my time is spent with my wife and our pets. We don't have kids, but we have a lot of fur babies. So a lot of time is spent with them, just doing stuff around the house, spending time with her, spending time with the animals. I used to be an avid gamer. I don't really game as much as I used to. I definitely don't play, a lot of online stuff as much as I used to, if at all. I used to be a big board game fan, and I just sort of fell out of that, mostly because a lot of my friends that were big into board games or like tabletop, like wargaming, that kind of stuff. It's harder and harder to get them to, sit down and actually play something. It's like scheduling for things like that is very difficult. So those were my hobbies, I would say. Honestly, right now, like wrestling is definitely more my hobby than anything else. I know it's not what you wanted to hear, but
No. I mean,
yeah. Wrestling has taken over a lot of my time as far as like my hobby stuff. So, but outside of that, yeah, I'll game a little bit, but not to the extent that I used to.
Gotcha. So tell us about your fur babies, because we've got several ourselves. So
We've got a
what
lot.
you got?
We've got a bunch of cats. So kind of backstory of that. My wife and I used to volunteer with a cat rescue. So we did a lot of hospice care with some older cats or some sick cats. So we still have a couple from there that we are taking care of, as well as kind of we've like sort of adopted, or we just they're staying with us now because they're either sanctuary cats or they're too feral to go anywhere else. Nobody else will handle them, but we've had them for so long that we kind of have built a rapport with them and they trust us. So we've got a bunch of cats, we've got 4 dogs, and we've got a bird.
Very cool. Yeah. Very cool. Yeah, we've got 3 shelter rescue Chihuahua mixes.
Okay.
And they are all loaded with personality, you know. You know, they definitely brighten our lives. And then we've also got an almost 17-year-old son, and he's going to be a senior in high school this fall. And it's crazy how quick the time has gone. I mean, you know, they say the days are long and the years are short, and it's very true.
I agree.
So, you know, we're mostly a wrestling related show, but we do dabble a little bit into pop culture, and I'm always looking for recommendations. So by any chance, are you watching or listening to anything cool right now?
Not really, no.
That's fine.
Yeah, not really. I'm really bad at it because there's a lot of stuff that like I really want to catch up on. I really want to go see the new Supergirl movie. I still need to see the new Mortal Kombat film. I'm trying to think what else has been really big. I'm terribly behind on The Boys that I've tried to watch a little bit of. Fallout Season 2. I really enjoyed the first season, and I'm completely behind on that. So I have. Yeah. When I have,
me too.
Yeah, when I have time for it, it will definitely be something that I want to catch up on. But then I'm sure something else will be out. The only probably exception that I would say is that I keep up on stuff is, excuse me, I'm a big Ghostbusters fan. Favorite franchise.
Oh, nice.
Huge Ghostbusters fan. So I follow a lot of stuff that has been going on. They just had Ghostbusters Day earlier this month. They announced the new Netflix show, so I will probably get Netflix back when that comes up and watch that as a diehard fan.
Very cool. Very cool. So, what is your favorite thing about Baltimore?
It's home. I grew up in Towson, which is north of Baltimore. I spent a lot of time in Baltimore as a teenager, as a young adult. I love the atmosphere. I love just the vibe of the city. I know a lot of people say it's dangerous or it's a terrible place. Like, no, it's like any other metropolitan city you go to. It has its charm. It has its good places. It has its bad places. The food, I know people rag on us about we put Old Bay on everything, which I don't have a problem with. Save for ice cream. It's weird. Old Bay on ice cream is weird. Sorry. But yeah, it has its own charm to it that anywhere else that I've been, it doesn't feel the same. The restaurants are solid. The bar scene, not that I go out and drink a lot anymore, if at all. It was fun. And I know it hasn't changed a ton. But just the overall vibe of being from Baltimore, being from this area, like it's not quite New York. It's not quite Philly. It's not quite Virginia. It's not quite anywhere else but Baltimore.
Gotcha. So there are literally people that put Old Bay on ice cream?
I've had it. I'm trying to remember where it was. I want to say there's an ice cream shop that's not terribly far from where I live called the Daily Scoop up in Pasadena. And I'm like 99% sure that's where I had Old Bay ice cream from. And I tried it just because I'm like, okay, I'll give it a shot. And I know their ice cream normally is very good. I didn't care for it. I put Old Bay on everything. I love I think Flying Dog, when they were in Maryland, they made an Old Bay beer. Loved it. I'll put Old Bay on fries. I'll put Old Bay on eggs. I'll put Old Bay on chicken. Like you name it, I can put it on there. Just ice cream was like the one thing that just nope, I'm good.
Yeah. It just sounds like a very bizarre combination of things. I had a friend in high school that would eat peanut butter and mayonnaise sandwiches, and that just no, yeah.
That's that's a little. Yeah.
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 So, yeah, exactly. So they say that the best wrestling personas are usually kind of yourself turned up to 11.
Mm-hmm.
So and you mentioned that your in-ring persona is still kind of evolving. Mm-hmm. But tell us about in-ring George and kind of compare and contrast him with everyday you.
I'd say they're a little bit different, to be perfectly honest. In-ring me is probably a bit more serious and a bit more wanting to have a good fight, have a good challenge, that kind of thing. And not to say that I don't want a challenge in real life. I like to be challenged with things. But I also know where my comfort level is when it comes to work and a lot of other things. Okay. Just have another.
Everything okay?
Yeah, we're good. I just had a box fall. That's all. Sorry.
Okay.
As far as in ring me, as far as in ring George, yeah, wanting an honorable fight, wanting an honorable challenge, that kind of thing. I know it's probably very trope heavy, but that's kind of where I'm going with as far as the character. And I guess I do still kind of feel that way a little bit in my own day to day, where do the right thing, that kind of stuff. Maybe it's not as far off as I would think in that regard. But I know I don't take anything seriously in my real life day to day. I try not to take things seriously. I'm a pretty positive person, and I feel like I try to get a little bit of laughter and joy out of just the day to day absurdity of things. Maybe I'll work that into the character a little bit. There's a couple of things that I've been playing around with, and a couple of other wrestling aspects, other wrestling character aspects that I've seen that I've wanted to play around with and add into the mix. And I might do that. That might be something I go with in the near future. We'll see.
Gotcha. So, as you mentioned at the beginning, you've been doing this for about 3 years. So mm-hmm. if you can narrow it down, what has been your favorite match that you have been a part of?
I've got at the moment.
Let's hear it.
The first one I would say right now is the match that I had with Tomahawk for the EWA Maryland Championship back in April, I want to say. That really lit a fire under me to really feel like everything is starting to click, and I really felt like I wanted another shot at that title, and I felt like a lot of what was trained and taught to me started to make sense and started to really connect, and I wanted more. I know that they always say, leave your fans wanting more. I wanted more out of that match. I wanted more out of wrestling. And working with him really made me want to do more as far as bookings and get more experience working in different places with different people. And I'm doing that. I'm sure we'll get into it later, but I've got a couple of weekends in July where I think I've got at least one, maybe two matches in a weekend. And I can't wait for them because I want the opportunity to try to get my character over to a new audience or to try working with somebody else. And maybe I get a different reaction out of a different crowd. But really working with him has been that catalyst that made me want to do more and made me think, yeah, I can do this. This is something that I can put the time and effort into, and I can see, match by match, the results of how this all works. That's match one. And the second one is the match that I had with Lemon Guy back in, oh God, when was that? I forget when it was, but it was one of our earlier Catchpoint Baltimore tapings that we had. And working with Lemon Guy was an absolute blast. I've talked to him before. I've talked to him and continue to talk to him. He and I have kind of similar styles, I think, as far as just like in-ring acumen. And a lot of what we wanted to do with that match, if people who are watching this are going to watch the recast of this, if they go back and watch that live stream, we just wanted to do like anything you can do, I can do better kind of thing. We both work face. I think that's kind of where we both are right now. And a lot of what we wanted to do was just like, let's just go out and have fun.
Yep.
And that was honestly one of the most enjoyable matches I've had in a long time. And I've challenged for titles. I've won and lost a tag title from EWA. And those were fun, but that was one of the matches that really, that was like one of the things I told him right from the get-go was like, let's have fun. We're just going to go out there. Yeah. We have an idea. Let's just go out and let's just go have fun. And we had a blast.
And, when you're having a good time in the ring, it tends to be infectious and spread to the audience, and because they perceive.
Yeah. And it was the same vibe that I got with working Tomahawk. We had fun. Like we called a really solid match. A lot of that was Tomahawk. He's significantly more experienced than I am. But like I had input, he had input. We did a lot of things that worked really well. And like just the connection I had with him and the audience for that match, like we had fun. Sad to say I got a little hurt from that match, but it wasn't anything too serious, but it just made me want to work with him even more. I want to work with him again. I want the challenge for that title again. And I will get that title. I don't care if it's through him or somebody else. That title will be mine someday.
Believe it. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, you've been doing this long enough that I'm sure you've developed at least a few of these, but what would you say is your biggest wrestling-related pet peeve?
Biggest related pet peeve to wrestling? Probably not enough people showing up and staying for ring crew setup and teardown. It kills me. I don't want to put anyone on blast, and I'm not going to, but I feel like that's one of the hardest things to do as a wrestler is feel like you're going to get all this done if you're one of the few people setting up or tearing down the ring. And it's one of those frustrating things where if you don't have enough people, like you will get it done. And you can probably do ring crew setup with like minimum 3 people. It's going to take you 2 or 3 hours or longer, depending on how experienced they are, or shorter, depending on how experienced they are, rather. But you can do it. And I did it over the weekend with like 3 or 4 people of varying levels of experience. That's probably one of my bigger pet peeves. I think one of the other ones that I would say is selling. Selling is there is an art form to it, and I know I'm not by any means an expert at it, but I feel like if you can make it believable, if you can make it understandable to what your body language is, what showing what hurts, showing what you're feeling, and make that connection with an audience member. I don't know if a lot of people really get that, and I can't fault a lot of people, especially newer wrestlers, because it is so varied, depending on the crowd, depending on who you're working, whether you're face, whether you're heel, etc. It's hard to kind of grasp, but I feel like that's one of those things that need to be taught more. And I wish more places would teach the art of selling.
Gotcha. So, do you have an all-time favorite match as a fan? Is there a match or matches that are just near and dear to your heart that you kind of find yourself circling back to from time to time?
Two probably would be Owen and back in, was that which Mania was that? That 10 or 11, I can't remember. Like I know it's the first match on the card. I know that one. That's that. I can't remember which Mania it was, but that's like one of my go-tos as far as just overall in-ring, just everything about that just absolutely blows my mind, and I still go back to watch that. But anything with William Regal and Fit Finlay are just absolute treasures for me. For more lucha based stuff, I love Eddie and Ray from Halloween Havoc. That's one of my favorite. It's probably one of the few WCW matches early on that really got me into wrestling and was like, wow, this is very different than everything else, and these guys are going to be big. The only other match that I would say is really going to stick out to me is, and it's because I was there for it, and it was the first pay-per-view that I'd ever attended. But AEW's first Full Gear when it was in Baltimore, Cody and JF. Yeah. I'm sorry, no, Cody and Jericho. Cody and Jericho were MJF. Cost him that was a fantastic match, and just that entire era, that like full year of AEW just really sticks with me.
For sure.
Honestly, I hate to say it, but like AEW really lit the fire under me to get really back into wrestling. NXT kind of got me there, but AEW was, when it first started out, I was just diehard all in with it. So I can't sing enough praises about that for what it did for me.
You know, it's kind of funny. For a number of years when my son was very young, life just got incredibly busy, and you know, so I was still kind of keeping tabs on what was going on in the business with the dirt sheets, but I wasn't watching the product.
Yeah.
And then right around 2016 or so, I started hearing about this guy Kenny Omega over in Japan, and the level of matches he was having. And I knew that we had Access TV on our cable service, so I started checking out New Japan just to see Kenny, and Kenny sucked me back in, and at that point I started watching everything again, you know. So Kenny Omega brought me back to wrestling, so I get it, you know.
Yeah. And I will say, like, let me add one other match to that, because this is the one that probably really got me back into modern day wrestling. But the entire trilogy of Ciampa Gargano, match, oh my God, those just pulled me right back in. Everything about them, and they're all very different, but all very similar in the sense that you can see these guys just want to beat the crap out of each other, and just I could go back to watch those all over again. And that was what that era of NXT especially was what initially got me back into, because I got out of wrestling right after WCW got bought out by WWE, I missed all the ruthless aggression era. I missed all of ECW, both the original and then when WWE bought it. And I didn't really get back into it until, like I said, maybe middle of NXT after it was the contest and it started becoming its own brand. Just that entire era really brought me back into it, like 2015, 2016, somewhere around there. That's what really got me back into wrestling.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. That era of NXT was special.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you know, the Undisputed era, you know, Killer Cross, I mean, Keith Lee. I mean, it was just like a never-ending fountain of talent coming out of that.
He's one of the few big men that I really miss seeing on TV. He is so
same here.
He's so good.
Yeah, and you know, I'm hoping for the best for Adam Cole.
Yeah,
I mean, but you know, I want him to, you know, obviously put his health first, and you know, if he needs to hang it up, obviously. But I'm hoping we get to see more of Cole, but who knows?
The moment he comes back and he's cleared, whatever stadium, arena, coliseum, wherever he's going to be, will absolutely just explode when he comes back. So,
for sure,
I can't wait.
I mean, talk about just a mega babyface pop. I mean, he's gonna get a reaction unlike most anything.
100% agree.
So this is one of these questions that the answer can literally change almost moment to moment, hour to hour, day to day.
Sure.
But at this very moment, in your opinion, who are the best male and best female wrestlers in the world? Who's the best man and who's the best woman at this moment?
That's a loaded question.
It is.
Especially given after we just had two very solid PLEs over the weekend from two very big companies. And that's not including whatever New Japan or anybody else was going to have. I would probably have to say best male wrestler right now, I would probably have to say is Will Ospreay. And I'm probably going to be wrong.
I won't argue that.
I'm probably going to be wrong in like another hour, and I'm sure I'll change my mind if I go watch another match that happened over the last couple days. Best female wrestler, I really like Io Sky. I think she is phenomenally talented. That to me, that's actually a harder one because there are a lot of really good women wrestlers out there that I don't think get the praise that they deserve. Tekla's really good. I'm a big fan of Willow Nightingale, and I think she's hurt at the moment, but she's really solid. Athena is amazing. There's a reason for why she has been the Ring of Honor for as long as she has. She continues to astound me. Let me think who else is also really, really good. I know she's hurt as well, but Rhea Ripley is an amazing wrestler. There is no wrong answer with either of them, and that's not a bad thing. So I'm gonna have to go with Io Sky for right now and Will Ospreay, but again, that's gonna change in like an hour, I'm sure.
Yeah, like I said, minute to minute, hour to hour, day to day. But you know, somebody who I feel like is really struggling is Jade Cargill. I mean, you know, I refer to her as AEW Goldberg. Because she was in a very protected position there. She was never given long matches. And even at this point, if she is in a match of any length, she starts to look like a deer in the headlights. in my opinion. I mean,
I think she's gotten a lot better. I think WWE has worked with her a fair amount, and I can remember when she first came in. I think people were saying kind of the same thing, and I think opinions have changed a little bit on her. I was still very high on her coming into WWE because I was very impressed with what she did with AEW.
yeah,
And I understand they definitely set her up to be the women's version of Goldberg in AEW, and for a lot of good reasons. She looked like
oh yeah,
you could just steamroll over everybody, and she did.
yeah. I mean, she has an amazing look,
Oh, yeah.
and you know, and an aura. But yeah, it's
She'll
anyway.
She'll get there. I think
yeah.
I give her another like 6 months to a year, especially if they really push her with the right people and put her with the right program. She'll be there. She's definitely got that star power. I think it's just going to take a little bit more time to simmer.
Absolutely. So another opinion question. In your opinion, what is the best storyline in wrestling right now?
I like Oba and Brock right now with what they're doing, and what they're building to SummerSlam. I think Will Ospreay and the Death Riders has probably been a really interesting build, especially since Will doesn't seem to be quite a face, but also not quite a heel, and it seems like it's a very different aspect for him. Especially with what that bloodbath he just had with Swerve Strickland, which I'm not surprised by. They have a history that just they were going to beat the hell out of each other no matter what was going to happen.
Oh yeah.
The only other one that I would say really has gotten me kind of interested is everything that is going on with LA Knight.
Yeah.
You know, I love the guy's gimmick. I love the character. You know, from Maryland, so I got to give him representation for that. He got a huge pop when he was at Raw, which I went to, and I'm glad I was there for, because getting to feel everybody in that entire state, in that entire arena, cheering for LA Knight, especially when he seems like he's getting the short end of the stick.
Yep.
I think that's going to pay off dividends if he ever gets that monster push that he should get. Yeah, I would say Will Ospreay with the Death Riders is probably one of the more interesting ones that I've been invested in as of recent weeks.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, my wife is a comparatively new wrestling fan, and when she first started watching, she could not stand LA Knight. He has grown on her, and now she absolutely loves the guy.
Personality, I can totally see people really hating him, and see people totally loving him, and he's got that under vibe to him that like he can make it to the top. He's just almost there. And again, I also connect with him because he's an older wrestler. He's been doing this for a while. He's what, 40, 42, 41, something like that.
43, I think. Yeah.
43. Okay. Yeah. So I can respect that. The guy has spent a ton of time trying to get to where he should be, and he's finally making it, and he's still hitting that ceiling that it seems to be very much by design when it shouldn't be, because the guy has star power written all over him. He really does. And he's, you know, a great flying up the top rope. I respect that because I do it myself.
Yeah. Yep. You know, early on doing this show, I actually had a guy on the show who actually has since gotten signed and is now on NXT. A guy named Sean Legacy.
Okay.
I don't know if you've seen him or not, but talking to him, he had the opportunity to wrestle LA Knight on the Indies. and said
Okay.
and said that he is one of just the best people in the business, just
I
a
believe.
good guy. So yeah, I do too, and so knowing that, it makes you kind of like the guy even more.
Yep. Yep. I completely agree.
So so, and this can be present day or past. Who would be a dream opponent? Who would you love to have the opportunity to share a ring with?
Either William Regal or Fit Finley.
Yep.
I adore that Regal does, and he and Finley are like opposite sides of a coin, in my opinion. So either one of them would be great. I know my technical acumen would not match up to them, but just being able to be in the ring with them and work with them would be a dream. That would be so cool.
Yeah, prepare to get stretched.
Oh yeah, 100% agree.
Yeah, those two and maybe Timothy Thatcher.
Timothy Thatcher, Pete Dunne,
Yep.
Daniel Bryan, any one of those guys. Like I know I'm probably never going to be able to be as good of a technician as any of those guys, but I 100% respect that level of technicality and that level of just innovation that they bring to wrestling. Gresham as well is another guy that I've got to see in person wrestle, and God, is he good.
Yep, he definitely is, and he's another Atlanta guy. That's where I'm based. I'm about 30 miles north of Atlanta.
Okay.
So you've been doing this long enough that I'm sure this applies to one degree or another. So I'll ask you, what hurts right now?
My knee a little bit is a little banged up, and that's mostly from yesterday. I'm sorry, Sunday. I keep on forgetting today's Tuesday. There was a show that I refereed up in Edgewood for FWA. So, spoiler, I also referee, just not as George LaFleur. But I referee as well, and I enjoy doing that. But we had a lot of craziness go down with one of the matches that was kind of we call it a grindhouse match, but it's basically like a hardcore match. And I think I banged my knee on something or something hit it. I don't know. I'm not really sure what I did with it, but it hurts a little bit, but it's nothing crazy.
Got you. So, in the 3 years you've been doing this, what is the worst bump you have taken?
Oh man.
Am I bringing up a bad memory?
No.
Oh, okay.
No. There's a couple that I've taken that are pretty rough, but probably one of the worst ones that I've had to take was, and it wasn't in a match. It wasn't in a match per se. I think it was just a training, but taking a black hole slam from Michael Anthony. He's a big dude, and he puts a little bit of weight into it. And even though he says he's a safe, let me rephrase that. He is a safe worker. For a big guy, he is very safe, but he does put a lot of weight into his black hole slam. And it's not like I couldn't take it. It's just, he's like 350 pounds, something like that. He's a big guy. And he's probably been the biggest guy that I've worked with that I can think of. And just having all of that coming down on you, it's a lot. And it just sucks the wind out of you. And that's probably been the worst bump that I've taken. I've never really been hurt too badly by anything other than the match that I had with Tomahawk. I tweaked my knee in, and I think that was something that I either did myself, or it might have been something that like I just landed on something weird, or I put my foot down weird on something. Like it wasn't anything like I took a bad bump, or it was something that was really rough. It was just something that I just placed my foot weird on. but yeah, taking Michael Anthony's Black Hole Slam is just, it's a rough bump. But
I can only imagine.
Thankfully, I haven't had too many bumps or taken anything that really has put me on the shelf for a significant amount of time. Maybe like a day or so, as far as just like, yeah, I just want to rest it, ice it, that kind of stuff.
Gotcha. So, knowing everything you know at this point in your life, if you could give any advice to your younger self, what would it be?
I wish I had started this earlier, to be perfectly honest. I knew it was going to be a lot of hard work to do wrestling, especially at my age, but I also didn't realize how much fun it would be. And I really wish I had started doing this earlier, maybe in my like mid to late 20s. I think there's a certain level of maturity that even being an older wrestler, I'm glad I have. So I don't know if I would necessarily trade youth for life experience per se. I feel like that's probably gotten me a bit further than just having more stamina or having more longevity in the game, or having potentially more time to do this. Because I don't know how long I'm going to do this for. But I do wish I had started earlier.
Gotcha. So, do you have any pre-show traditions? Any things that you try to do consistently before you walk through the curtain?
Getting the mustache on, I think, is the first step to really getting into character, getting into the mindset of what I'm presenting. Some stretching, just whatever I'm feeling in the day, as far as like what I need to work out and stretch, what's tight. I don't really have anything else that I can think of other than maybe listening to a couple different songs that really kind of hype me up, kind of get me into the mood of the character, and that's evolving. Like I've got the song that I think you sent me promo for this interview. That's a great song that I had not even heard of before, that I might throw into the mix, or getting a vibe for where I will entrance song that I've been playing around with, that I might be debuting at another show in the near future. So that's getting added to the mix, as far as just mentally preparing myself for what I want to do.
Very cool. Yep. Dropkick Murphys is always good for some good pump you up type music.
Oh, absolutely.
So something that we've done in all of these that's just been kind of fun is we've let the current guest ask a question for the next guest. So I actually had an episode last night with a Japanese-born luchador who is now based out in Los Angeles by the name of Koto Hiro.
Okay.
And the question that he posed is, what is your favorite sushi roll?
Ooh. My go-to is spicy tuna, but I am not opposed to trying something new, or something that is regionally, like the regional specialty. Depending on where I go, if there's something that is specific to like a restaurant, or like this is their style, or if this state is known for this style of sushi, whatever it may be, I'm not going to be too picky. So yeah, I'm open, but my general go-to is spicy tuna.
Gotcha. So since this is part of a series, do you have a question you would like to ask to the next guest?
I'm not sure if it's been asked already, but we'll give it a shot.
Okay.
What is a band or musician, artist, whatever, that you listen to, have seen, whatever, that you feel is incredibly underrated or does not get talked about enough in whatever circle they should be in for their genre?
That is actually a really good question. How would you answer that?
One of my go-to bands that I feel does not get enough recognition, and spoiler alert for that, I'm a big metalhead. I'm a big metal fan.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of different variations of metal that I'm a big fan of, but I feel like one of the bands that does not get talked about enough is a band from Japan, ex-Japan. Some people might know they are. They started in late 80s. And they really got big in Japan back in the 90s. And I've seen them twice. They've come to the U.S. a couple times. A couple of their, but they started out as like a speed metal, thrash metal kind of band, and then sort of evolved into a more melodic, operatic kind of style. They've innovated a lot of things when it came to jazz, hard rock. I wish they are one of my go-to bands that like I will 100% listen to until the end of time. They are phenomenally talented. If there's one language that I would love to learn just so I could like not have to look up the lyrics for their songs and just be able to sing it phonetically and understand it, it would be for them. They're an amazing band.
Gotcha. So during his farewell tour, John Cena kept bringing up the concept of leaving wrestling better than he found it. Yep. And that really resonated with me. I just thought, well, what a cool thing to strive for. So I've kind of incorporated that into my repertoire of questions here. So I'll ask you that question. What ultimately are you trying to do to leave wrestling better than you found it?
Continue to maintain professionalism. Really put the professional back in professional wrestling, and not to say that it's gone away, but I know there's a varying degree of how people interpret that. Continue to make it entertaining for everybody. I feel like wrestling, there is no one wrong way to do, there's no one right way to do wrestling. And wrestling is for everybody.
Yep.
So every style, every kind of match you can have out there, there's going to be a fan of. And I would want to try to continue that as best I can. And then still maintain that level of that magic, allowing people to get worked, and being okay with that. I feel like that's one of the things that takes away from a lot of modern wrestling. People want to know how everything is put together. They want to understand the ins and outs of the business, whether they're in wrestling or not, whether they do it or not, whether they're just a fan of it or not. They want to know everything about it. And I feel like having that air of mystery of how it's all done and maintaining that level of there's still certain things that you don't know how they pulled that off, or there's certain things that you don't understand how they did that, whether that's through sheer amazing technical physicality or just really well done storytelling or a combination of that, just really maintaining the magic of wrestling. That's what I would really like to continue to do and continue to hone when it comes to wrestling.
Right. Well, with with the dirt sheets and everybody having a smartphone, it has become so difficult to truly pull off a surprise in wrestling anymore. I mean, so the moments where you can actually truly be surprised with something are just so cool. I mean,
I agree.
so
And being able to be there live, I know makes a huge difference. You get that just absolutely organic feeling, especially when it is oh man, that I didn't expect that. There's nothing like it. And
yep.
I wouldn't want there to be too many of those because I almost feel like that takes away from having that experience. But it's really nice to have that every once in a while, especially when you're really ingrained and really just dug into a storyline or dug into whatever this program is for these wrestlers. When you're really invested in what they're doing, being able to be worked and being able to just be amazed at what happened. That could happen more organically, and I'd love to see it happen more, and people being okay with being worked.
Absolutely. So we're pretty much at the end of things now. So do you have any upcoming shows or anything at all that you want to give some hype to?
Yeah, absolutely. So July 11th, I believe it is, at Peabody Heights Brewery in Baltimore. I know I'm reffing, but I'm hoping I'm also working a match. It's Beer, Beef, and Beatdowns Part 2. I forget what time it is.
Love it.
I want to say it's like 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon. It's a fun show. It's like a punk metal, bunch of different kind of bands play, and then we do some wrestling matches. And there's a bunch of food trucks and good beer, and they're the entire brewery also has like a really cool arcade scene to it. They have like a whole pinball room. They've got a whole like free play room. Should be a good time. So I'm hoping to wrestle there, but I might just end up being a ref there. I'm not sure yet. The next official show that I know I am wrestling at is on Saturday, July 18th down in Waldorf for Adrenaline. What is it? Adrenaline Wrestling Association, I think it is. I'm making my debut with them, and I'm challenging for their TV title against the Politician. So
Nice.
looking forward to that. I don't know how I feel about beating up a politician, but he's kind of, kind of a politician. He should be spending more time wrestling and less time, kissing hands and shaking babies.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So as far as what we've got coming up on the Throwdown, this Friday, July 3rd, 7 p.m. Eastern, we've got episode 245, and our guest is a wrestler based in New York by the name of Alec Hammer. Definitely interested to have him on, hear his story, and find out more about him. And then on Monday, July 6th, 7 p.m. Eastern, which is 4 p.m. Pacific, episode 246, and our guest is a wrestler based in Northern California and somebody who back in the day did some traveling and worked some shows with Jacob Fatu, of all people, a guy by the name of D-Rogue. I've actually had some of his running buddies on the show, and he was very active in the chat room. So I'm excited to have him on and kind of hear his story.
Cool.
And let me say, this has been an absolute pleasure. So thank you for your time, and for those of you that have been watching this live, thank you. For those of you that'll be seeing this on replays and such, thank you for that. If you like what we've got going here, definitely do the old like, comment, share, and subscribe. And before we wrap all of this up, any final words?
I'm gonna steal a little bit from what I did as a ref. Have I enjoy wrestling?
I like it. I like it. Anyway, so until Friday night with Alec Hammer, be good to each other, love each other, and let's keep throwing down.
Absolutely.